Hi there, everyone, and welcome back to the From Desk to Dynasty podcast. As always, I am your host, Owen, sitting down with a super exciting guest today, Art from ClubReq. Really looking forward to, hearing all about his experiences, his insights, and what he's working on right now with ClubReq. So without further ado, Art, I will pass it across to you, my friend, for a quick introduction.
Yeah, thanks. So I'm Art Fields, CEO and founder of ClubReq. ClubReq, we're a platform that helps streamline the hiring process by utilizing AI, well, combining AI with human insights to create a quick turnaround time from job applicant to interview within a matter of hours and days rather than weeks.
Awesome, my friend. Love it. Super excited to go a little bit deeper into that as well. But just to kick us off, Art, for those who might not know you yet or might not know your company yet, could you maybe share us with us a little bit about, your journey into this industry and working sort of within recruitment and sort of what it was that drew you to that?
Yeah, so I used to tell people that I'm like the Forrest Gump of HR. I originally started my career in the entertainment industry in public relations, and then with the goal to eventually go into production and become like a director or a producer of film, TV film, and I ended up making a journey into radio, worked in radio for a little bit. And then while I was still climbing the corporate ladder within radio, the recession hit. And there was a 72% reduction in our workforce for Clear Channel Communications at the time that I had to essentially recreate myself. So I really leaned in on my mentors to help give me some direction on where I should go and take my career into. And they were like, you're always a good networker, good salesperson. You may be a good fit for recruiting. You should try recruiting. And so with that being said, I ended up going to work for an agency, Aerotech. Shout out to Aerotech, to kind of help me hone in on my skills as far as recruiting. And started there. By a year after I started with Aerotech, I was ranked the number third recruiter in the state of Minnesota for Aerotech. And then went on and went to the corporate route of recruiting for Delta Airlines, a subsidiary called Endeavor Airlines, which is where I really kind of honed in on my skills as far as recruiting for quality, right? So with the agency world, it's all about speed, right? Speed and filling requisitions faster, right? Where in the corporate world, it's about quality. And so essentially, forwarding my career, I ended up going to a startup at the time called DoorDash to help them launch in new markets. And one of the new markets was Phoenix, Arizona. And so I was the senior manager of talent acquisition there, where I really got to combine those skills of speed and quality by, creating a strategy where my recruiters would just review resumes and then put them in a queue for outside screeners to just screen all day. So then the next day we'll come into work and have a full list of candidates that's been screened and ready to come on site. So I'm like, I should 10X this idea and create a platform, kind of Uberize the screening process where industry professionals can get paid screening candidates that's coming into their industry. So I would utilize a tool like AI to review the resumes, provide a job matching score based off of what AI and the job description, based off of what AI assessed from the job description in that candidate's resume. And high scoring applicants will then get paired with an industry professional, someone who has done the job that candidate is applying to, and interview with that candidate to validate the AI assessment. And so essentially that's how ClubReq came to be.
Amazing, amazing.
Mhm.
I mean, some journey. Again, big switch from that production industry, making the move into recruitment. Obviously, the right decision made there.
Yeah.
So yeah, ClubRec, really, really interesting story and an interesting idea. Could you maybe walk us through the early days of your firm, or what was the original vision, and how has that sort of evolved over time?
It's easy. Technology. The original vision started back in late 2020. And at that time, AI wasn't really a big thing at the time. So it was more of, using, I guess, what you call it, like machine programming, where it can identify certain terms in certain resumes, which is not smart enough, right? To provide a job matching score and then have human expertise screen the candidates. How it's evolved now is we're now utilizing AI in a lot of our workflow within the platform, where AI is assessing resumes, assessing candidates' responses to pre-qualification questions, and providing a more intuitive job matching assessment. And we're still utilizing the human expertise, but we also are adding an AI interviewer as well, just in case, some companies may have lower level, high volume positions that they hire for, that it can be a little bit costly if you have to keep using a human to screen all those candidates. And so we added the AI interviewer for that piece.
And how, just off the back of that, how important do you think it is to strike the correct balance between, human interaction and AI?
I'm sorry. So your question is more like, how important is it to have humans involved with AI?
Yeah, like a nice balance.
I think I say so. Here's the thing. I don't think so. I still work in HR today, and I still am tapped into how HR feels about AI. That, based off of what I've gauged, is HR recruiting are not quite ready to hand over the keys to AI, right? But don't get me wrong, AI is getting super close to just like, hey, identifying the right candidates without having a human involved. But at the end of the day, a job has to, a human is going to work with a human. So it's really good for a human to be able to assess, to have that final decision, right? I think AI does a really good job of assessing data, right? And the trends to be able to identify if this person is going to be a good fit. But it's having a human validate that is key, because at the end of the day, I mean, look what these kids are doing nowadays. They're using AI to sound human, right? So I think there's a platform called humanize.io, shout out to them, where people are taking outputs from OpenAI, ChatGPT, and putting it in humanize.io to sound more human, which is crazy to think of, right? But you have teachers using AI to identify if someone has used AI, right? So, that's where I feel like you have to. There still should be some human involvement in there to validate people's skills, because you can get by AI. If I just think about it, if you had a front end developer that was screening with an AI interviewer, an AI bot, could that AI know that you're reading, results or outputs from an AI? Probably not, because it's coming from a human. But if you're a human and you're interviewing another human and you can see that person's eye is wandering somewhere else on the screen, you can tell that person's reading something, right? Or if they're looking down, or if they're taking a long pause before they answer a question. Like if you are who you say you are, you'll be able to rattle off examples, behavioral based, be able to give a star formatted response to an interview question quickly, because you lived it, right? You're genuine. But when somebody is full of BS, right? And is when they have to pause and they feel like they're reading, and they're like, it's just, yeah, it's bad, all bad. So you need to have that human expertise to be able to identify those human giveaways, I guess you can call it.
For sure. No, interesting take, and I couldn't agree more.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously in those early days of ClubReq, again, AI wasn't really so much about, more so the machine programming side of things. What were some of the biggest challenges that you faced when it came to growing the business?
Yeah, so time and capital. Time and capital. ClubReq started during COVID, essentially. And at that time, I was also facing some health issues. I had a health scare, cancer scare. And so the focus wasn't quite there. It was hard to focus on growing it. But that scare actually it awakened me to like, hey, we're not promised tomorrow. So, we also didn't have the technical founders in place as well. So now we have a CTO in place where, so the building was actually slower. The building of the tech was slower. And we had to stretch out every dollar. We still stretch out every dollar to this day. We're scrappy, with like no code tools and learn how to sell with just the prototype. So, but those constraints, at the end of the day, it sharpened our clarity and our resilience.
Percent. And I think it's not even the worst thing not having a full build out from the off. I think that's one of the things that can often stifle, you know, tech startups and everything like this, where they focus so heavily on product and getting that perfect, you don't actually know if there's, product market fit there. So it sounds like you're able to sort of work that out with a prototype, which is amazing. So I think
Yeah.
that's a good way to do it.
Yeah, for sure, man. And then like I entered into this space with not a lot of mentors. Like I had a buddy at the time, still associates, to this day. We were college teammates who actually was a startup founder as well. He's done really well for himself, and he's even doing really well for himself even after his exit as well. At the time, he was available, he was accessible when it came to guiding me a bit. But then it got to a point where like he was starting to have, he was starting to exit the business and was really busy. It was like, okay, you need to lean on, other resources, right? So start really building my network far as within the entrepreneur space, where I actually was able to build a good mentorship advisory board, I guess you can call it, team that was able to guide me and say, okay, all right, I think you should do this, you should do that, you should get involved with here in the community. And then essentially, which led us down to applying for Techstars and getting into Techstars.
Amazing,
Mm-hmm.
amazing. I mean, you are clearly building something, super incredible, here to last, disrupting an industry. I'm always, fascinated by how successful leaders and founders do, think about the future. Like looking ahead over the next, say, 12 to 24 months, what are the biggest growth priorities for ClubReq?
Yeah, that's a great question. Great question. So we want to scale our employer base, right? So in full, like we fully want to activate the gig interviewer marketplace that we're building, right? If you Google, or you put in ChatGPT or Cloud, whatever you want to do, or Claude, I mean, whatever you want to do, put our model in and say, is there a model currently out there that uses AI and a gig industry expert interviewer platform to streamline the hiring process? We'll be the only ones that pop up.
Nice.
And a lot of companies always say like, "Oh, we're the first and only," da, 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 right? And we didn't want to go down that road. But when we did our market analysis, we're like, "Damn, bro, I think we are the only ones to do this," right? Now you
Nice.
can easily say like, maybe because it's a bad idea that maybe we shouldn't do it. But based off of our customer growth the past month since we relaunched our pilot, sounds like to me like customers want that, right? We even hear the feedback too when we have our customer success meetings. The customers are excited about having the AI interviewer, but they also love the human interviewer as well for like their higher level positions. Now, I could be giving away a little bit too much here, where like competitors are going to see that like, oh, we got to add a human network, then we got to add a human marketplace, you know, but we really want to grow that interviewer marketplace. And I also would say we're focused on ATS integrations and building a feedback loop where AI gets smarter with every interview. And of course, we're ready to raise our next round to accelerate growth and bring in some enterprise partners.
Amazing, amazing. Yeah, super, super exciting times on the horizon for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, maybe a question to sort of get you thinking a little bit. Like What's the number one thing, if there is something, if you could fix it or improve it, that would have the biggest impact on your firm's growth? Do you think you could put your finger on that?
Distribution. We
Distribution.
have a strong product and story. Um, Now it's about getting it in front of like HR leaders and decision makers who need to speed. I mean, like, well, one, they need speed and quality at the same time, right? Most of the time you get speed, but then it like compromises quality, right? And then if you get quality, it compromises speed, right? Um, so for those decision makers who want both of those, right? Usually you can't have your cake and eat it too, right? But we're trying to provide that cake and you let you eat it. So meaning that we'll provide you with speed and quality with our hiring methodology. And so if I could supercharge one thing, it would be the awareness and reach of our platform and our story.
Just building their brand. Do you have any sort of, obviously without giving too much away, are there any strategies in place or anything like that to, help elevate the brand and really bring it to light?
So we are a lean team, very lean. It's a four-headed monster. Myself, co-founder, CXO, Robert Nelson. Shout out to Robert Nelson. That's my ride or die. We've been best friends for 18 years. He's
Nice.
my children's godfather. We were going to start our first venture together back in 2009. Opened up a sneaker boutique because we're sneakerheads. But we've been always riding or die with each other. Then we have Stephen Krashalik, who we met through Eightfold Technology, which was the agency that helped build our platform. He's the CTO for Eightfold. He eventually was like so in love with the product that he was like, I want to come on board as a CTO. So we brought him on board as a CTO. We've been knowing him for the past 3 years. And then Allie Armour, she's been our gold member. She's been a part of 5 startups. 3 of them exited for 3
Wow.
billion each. So she's like, no, 2 of them exited for 3 billion. She's trying to make this one the third. But we're bootstrapping everything, so everything's coming out of my own pocket. My wife has been supportive, is helping out as well. And, we've been blessed, man. We've been blessed so part of the strategy is utilizing our network, but also utilizing career fairs, right? A lot of career fairs have, we call this thing called, like, I don't know, you heard of customer criteria, right? Like, what's your customer criteria? What are the criteria for that your ideal customer would meet, right? And, we have that. I mean, I won't dive deep into that, but when we identify somebody meets our criteria, we go after them right away. And fortunately for us, a lot of those customers that meet our criteria, they're at those career fairs. They're at they're startups. They are small restaurants that maybe have like 4 or 5 locations. Some of them have just 1 location, but their business is booming that you can see the potential that they're going to grow. So we want to grow with them. So we really like supercharge those efforts. We're to the sense that we relaunched our pilot April 14th, and we have 8 customers that came on board since April 14th,
Wow.
right? 8 customers, and tomorrow I'll be meeting with, I will be onboarding another restaurant industry, and then a startup and a med spa. So, and this is tomorrow. So there's 3 companies that I'm onboarding tomorrow to add to that to the already to the 8 that we have currently. So we're moving. And I'm going to be very transparent. These are free pilots. So we're not going to be converting them all over. We're not going to convert them all to paid customers because I'm a realist, right? But we'll convert some, right? And when we do, essentially we're going to start raising that capital. We're going to start we're going to go on our seed round. So let me rewind that. Once we convert those customers, we will start our raise and our seed round, and we're going to try to keep it lean as well still. So it'll be a reasonable raise where we feel like we're not diluting our cap table.
Amazing. Amazing. I mean, free pilot or not free pilot, 11, 11 new clients, 11 new potential clients in the space of, sort of a month and a week.
Mhm.
Like that's absolutely nothing to be shunned at, my friend. It's
Yeah.
impressive stuff.
And like I told you earlier on the call, right? Like I'm one of those founders that's like I'm not super active on social media. You know,
Yep.
I am so like as a recruiter, the key to my success, why I was a good recruiter, was that I did less talk and more action. And I'm not. This is not a shot at any other founders that do a lot on social media, because I think I think it's a very strong strategy, marketing strategy. It's just one that I'm not good at, and one that, like, you know, eventually I will become good at when I get laser focused with it. But my focus is more on developing a solid product, a great product. So that means putting my head down, sticking, being side by side with my CTO, making sure that we are executing on the value that we say we deliver. Because I don't want to go out and sell something that doesn't work like we say it does. It's not providing that value that like we say it's going to provide. So I put my name on our product, and fortunately for me, like in the past in my career, I'm very prideful in my work ethic, that like it's now starting to translate over to ClubReq, and so I'm very prideful in the work that we do.
100%, as you should be, as you should
Yeah.
be.
Hmm.
Yeah, cool. I mean, I know startup life things can be, crazy, 100 miles an hour, wearing a number of different hats.
Yep.
Yourself and the team, are there any strategies that you've tried in say the last sort of 12 months or so that you found to be interesting, even if they maybe didn't quite turn out the way that you'd hoped?
Any like when you say strategy, you mean like sales strategy or just
Sales strategies, anything in general. Again, I know with startups it can be all go. Just anything in general.
any strategies that we felt that maybe didn't pan out? You're saying?
Yeah, that were interesting. Even well, they might have panned out, they might not have. Anything that you thought, yeah, that was good.
Yeah, that's a hard one to say, because I don't think when you say it didn't pan out, that's not that doesn't exist, right? Um, like three of our core values within my company, right, is we call it I call it the double RL, right, which is resilience, resourceful, and limitless. Okay, and when I say limitless, I mean that there's no such thing as failure, right? Like it's not over. You just go back to the drawing board, and whatever you were trying to accomplish, you reassess the plan, and you fine tune it. You tweak it so that you can get to essentially what you were trying to obtain originally. And so you say if there's any strategies that didn't pan out, I man, that's a hard one to say, because I mean, like, if anything, I feel like we just recently discovered the whole, like, hey, we need to go and partner with every career fair that's out there, right? And okay, all right, so all right, here's one. The strategy was like, all right, well, hey, for every career fair, for every employer that participate, we'll be a part of the package and say, hey, we'll go out to that agency or whatever that organization is that's hosting the career fair and say, hey, part of your package, tell people to get people to buy, a table to participate in your career fair. Say they'll get a free 90-day subscription for with ClubReq. And we'll create a pamphlet for you that you can send out for a confirmation when they pay for their table or whatever, right? And they can set up their account prior to the event with us, right? But then, like, we're like 90 days. 90 days is a long time. like,
Yeah,
like like we should probably shorten that up to like maybe 60, 30 days.
yeah.
Because here's the thing: since we've been running our pilot, we've had customers, and people always say, like, well, I think AI is going to be faster with hiring a candidate, because it's just everything's automated. So I can't imagine that AI and human would still have that same results of being fast. Our pilot employers, they're hiring people within like 6 days, you know, and we don't even have an auto activation feature. So like our AI, right? And we put this way because of laws, hiring laws, right? But our AI assesses a candidate, gives it a job matching score. A human still has to go in there and activate that candidate to get screened. Okay, and that's a good thing because you want to. If AI is involved with the hiring process, you need to have some type of documented process that says that humans are auditing the AI assessment. Human has some involvement in there, which is that's our model. Our model is to have a human involved activating candidates. But there are certain states where like you can get away with that, right? And so, with that being said, if we have an auto activation feature, which we do, where if you set the threshold of saying anybody who's at 85% and above automatically gets activated to get screened by human expertise, that actually would cut that 6 days of hiring down probably about like at least about like 20%, you know? So I think we ultimately what I'm saying is that we were offering 90 days. We can showcase the value within the first week.
Yes.
So I don't think we need to necessarily give them a free 90-day subscription.
100%,
Yeah.
100%. It's also a very smart move,
It
pairing
goes
up
back.
with all the career conventions.
Yeah, it goes back to there's one of my mentors. I haven't talked to him in some time because I had my head down, but he's a great guy, and when I do talk to him, he's always like great advice he's providing me. He has this like enabling method of coaching of like, what do you think we should do? Okay, do you think that's realistic? Blah, blah. His name is Neil Salas Griffin. So he's the managing director of TechStars San Francisco. And Neil was like, he gave me this example. He said, Art, if I told you that like, if I offered you 2 seatbelts, one for $7, right? But this one for $89, which one would you buy? Because you know a seatbelt has to save your life. It has to work. So you're probably thinking that cheaper one's probably low quality. If you believe in your brand, if you know it's a solid brand, and you want and you know that like, hey, I need this. This is a need. Sell it for. I'm pretty sure that person's going to buy it for $89 because they care for their safety. You know, they want the best quality. And if you and then the person who marked that price for $89, they're confident that their seatbelt works, that they can mark that price to that, and they'll get paid for it. You know, so it's like, okay, well, in that sense, it's like, you know, you add value within the first week. Or you don't need to give them 90 days. Yeah,
Sure.
yeah,
It's true, and it's a very good analogy, to be honest, especially for the what you've discussed there. I think it's hard, especially with like a SaaS product. It's hard to know how to price it. Like if you think like home services or like a cleaning service or something, it's very obvious. You have like labor, you have materials, but with a SaaS product, it's a little bit harder. So yeah, definitely interesting one there. Again, another one potentially to get you thinking, Art.
okay.
If you could test out one idea in the business with absolutely no risk, is there anything that you would love to try?
Yeah, so and we're gonna probably still try it. I'm not- it's a subscription for job seekers. Job seekers that includes like resume optimization, mock interviews with real industry pros. I mean, we have the like we have all the functionalities to make this happen. And then so getting back to it, it would be so resume optimization, mock interviews with real industry professionals. So if it's like a student coming fresh out of college and they're trying to go and get in a front end developer role, right? They would sign up with ClubReq, and obviously that student would probably have a discount rate because we believe that students, you're poor, you're broke, so have a discount rate where they can come in, get their resume reviewed. They probably have some internships on there, right? And then they can do like 2 mock interviews, and then we'll do a third, which will be their real mock interview that we will send out to our employer partners that are looking for fresh talent that are going into development, right? And so we'll essentially become like the I guess you can say the evangelist of that candidate. We'll go out and promote that candidate and say, hey, we'll send out their mock interviews to those hiring leaders, and they can be able to get themselves in front of hiring leaders faster with a mock interview already, put together and packaged for them. So, you know, we've always been like a employer focused company, but I think we could offer a lot of value to individuals trying to stand out. And especially to those individuals, like I said, the example of the college student, or also like the 20-year police officer who's trying to make a career change into tech, but needs someone to promote him, right? Because like how often you hear about that? Like somebody's like trying to make a career change late in their life, that it's hard for them to get employed because they're pretty much identified. They've been seen as as another profession, right? Like I said, the example of the police officer. You've been a police officer for 20 years. What do you know about full stack development? It's like, well, I did this mock interview and with ClubReq, and their credible platform, and they feel like I might be a good fit for a role. I showed them the skills that I have and what I developed. And so we become like that middleman for that person who's trying to make a career change and promote their brand.
Yeah, I love it. It's almost just opening way more opportunities for people who, as you said, are going to struggle so much to find something out there that's actually gonna fit that need for them. Especially when you think of college students, the competition of getting a job these days would be so valuable, and I think a massive market for that.
Yeah, the college student example I gave you was actually a business idea that I had back in that was like 2016, maybe 2017, when I used to recruit for the airline industry. They had a shortage of pilots, and they had a shortage of A&P mechanics, so airframe and power plant mechanics, right? And part of my strategy I had 277 recs open for Endeavor Airlines. And part of the strategy was I was going to go out to these rural technical schools that are teaching you how to be an A&P mechanic. They'll get you A&P certified. So I would go to like Jerusalem, Nebraska, something like that, right? Just somewhere way out there, right? Where those students weren't getting a lot of attention, right? And they were usually going to go work at a manufacturer or a warehouse working on conveyor belts or something like that, right? And so not really given the opportunity to go work for an airline. So I would go out to them, and they were like, wow, I can relocate and go here and I can have flying benefits? Oh, for sure. So I filled all my roles just by like going to trade schools, A&P mechanic schools, right? So I was like, you know what? It'd be a cool idea if I created this product called Window, right? And Window would be attached to the school's education platform, wherever they house the grades, And every time a student enrolls, they would have to create their Window account, and it would link to their profile in their education platform. So whenever the grades got kicked out, right, it would go to that student's Window platform. That student can type in like, "Hey, I'm a first year student at whatever tech school, right? And I'm looking to be a flight mechanic or a technician or avionics tech, right? And all the companies that hire for those roles that are signed on Window would get alerts of that new student that just enrolled, right? And every quarter, so a recruiter for that company can say, hey, I want to follow this student. I'm going to follow this student. I want to get updates on this student every time a new quarter happens. And I want to get a ping whenever they're like a week or a month away from graduating, right? So now they're a month away from graduating. They'll get an alert that, hey, Owen Abraham is graduating in 1 month. He doesn't have a job yet. Would you be interested in knocking on his window? When they knock on his window, knock, knock, it's like a messenger like, hey, Delta Airlines wants to speak with you, Owen, about potentially working for them as an avionics tech. And then you open up your window and say, yes, I'm free to chat. And then they'll give you like separate times on when you can talk to that recruiter, And so now they have direct, instead of them spending money, instead of the employer spending tons of money traveling around the U.S. to these different tech schools, they have Window that can just essentially, be right there.
It's almost like social media for recruitment for graduates.
Yeah.
essentially.
I mean, handshake. I haven't used handshake in so long, but I don't think is nothing like that.
That's
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
Super interesting. No, you're full of good ideas. You're full of good ideas, my friend. But no, really interesting stuff. Just sort of coming to a bit more of a close now, Art. In this journey from being in production to a couple different firms as a recruiter, some big names, now being a founder, what's been the most rewarding part of that for you?
The most rewarding part of like my journey is the journey. That's the most rewarding piece. Is the experience that I've gained, right? It's the skills that I've acquired. It's the belief in myself, that a kid from Oakland, California, I don't come from a tech background, right? I'm not a tech founder, and not having like the strongest network to now, like having a network of individuals who can help me succeed. Yeah, man, it's the journey. The journey is the reward, and so even if let's say ClubReq doesn't like I'm gonna say your words pan out, right? My co-founder told me this like a few weeks ago. He was like, I'm just excited. I'm just happy the fact that like we did this. We did it, And so now like let's say for like I said, like if it's a failure, right? If it's let's say we got it's an exit that's not favorable for us, right? My mistakes will help the future founders be successful, as long as I'm sharing that. So my uncle used to always say this thing about when you make it to the top, send the elevator back down. Make sure you send the elevator back down. And the top doesn't mean that you're rich now or anything like that. It just means that like, hey, maybe you just more experience, right? Send that experience back down to the next person and help them get to the top, get to the top floor. So send the elevator back down.
100%. No, I love it, my friend. I think you're so right. We can sometimes get so caught up in goals and ambitions and where we want to be that you can, forget about the journey, which is doesn't feel that enjoyable when you're in the middle of it at times. Um, but that is the sort of funnest part. And
Oh
yeah, you
man,
look back on that.
the journey will have you stressed the hell out, man. Like it's just and then like there's the highs and the lows, man. And I started experiencing that early. We had a lot of false starts, like, oh, we think the tech is ready, and we'll start with the client, and then have to pause the pilot because of technical debt or something like that, right? Which was the straw that broke the camel's back for us. Was like, forget this, guys. We're not relaunching our pilot till we get our third founder, and that founder's got to be a technical founder. And so, got our technical founder, rectified the tech debt, and now we're back rolling and keeping the momentum.
There
Knock
you
on
go.
wood. Yeah,
I'll be praying, my friend. I'll be keeping my fingers crossed for you.
for sure, man. Appreciate it.
Maybe a bit more of a cliched one, but if you go all the way back to the start of your journey, or as you say, you're sending that elevator down. If you could give someone who's just about to get into that elevator one piece of advice, what would it be?
Don't wait for it to be perfect. Launch if it's messy. I waited too long trying to make it polish, trying to make ClubReq polish. But what I learned is that showing up and iterating gets you further than perfection ever will. So just launch, just do it. I think Ryan Coogler said that recently about like, you want to do something in life, go do it. Just do it. Go do it. My father right now is sick, and dealing with some life-threatening stuff, and that's really opened up my eyes to, tomorrow is not promised. So if you're thinking of doing something, don't think about it. Just go do it. Just go execute it. And so that's the reason why I know that I'm going to be successful with ClubReq. Not trying to sound arrogant, because I'm not an arrogant person. I come from, like I told you, I come from a single mother, of three in Oakland, California, a former drug dealer, to college graduate, to husband, father, a career, corporate HR professional, well, technically in recruiting. That like, man, if you would have asked 8-year-old Art that I would be like, what do you want to do? If going back to 8-year-old Art, 8-year-old Art would not have envisioned a life like this.
Yep.
And yeah, and it was all because when I thought about something, I wouldn't try to do it. No
100%.
blockers. And if I did have any blockers, I just would figure it out.
Smash them out the way. I mean, there's a quote. It's like the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. Second best time's now. It's like you can't just sit around and wait. You got to do it right now. Take action.
You got to do it. Got to do it. You get people always say like, "Oh, just pray on it. Just pray on it." You can pray on it, but you also need to go out there and go get it too. You need to go execute. You need to go grab it. So
100%.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you
that
so
was
much.
Great, man. I appreciate you, man. Thanks for having me. It's been fun.
100%. No, thank you very much for coming on. Our amazing conversation, amazing energy. Before we sign off, where can people find you? Your founder, ClubReq.
Yeah. So, you can find me on LinkedIn, Art Fields, founder of ClubReq. Instagram, go follow clubreq.com. If they want to know my personal life, because I know all investors want to know who I am, who's the man behind ClubReq. I don't even know what my handle is, but it's like Junior Tut, something like that. But if they want my social media, man, just DM me on
Reach
LinkedIn.
out. Yeah. Simple.
Or they can email me at art@clubreq.com. So. Mm-hmm. Oh, and about the name. I'm surprised you didn't ask me about the name.
Sorry, yeah, go on.
Yeah, ClubReq, man. ClubReq. Rec stands for requisition. A lot of HR people will know what that is. And the club part is just, originally the idea was for companies to just upload their requisitions onto our platform. And a club of recruiters can go on there and start working on those employers' requisitions and helping them identify and find candidates faster. But obviously we pivoted the formula a little bit, but still kept the name as ClubReq.
Listen, yeah. Well, everyone, go blow up Art's DMs, go follow ClubReq. But yeah, no, Art, thank you again, my friend. Really enjoyed it, and we'll stay in touch.
Thank you. You have a great day.
Thank you.